Well, hello again. This is Jill with Asian Drama, Black Women. And what I talk about on my program are Asian costume dramas. And I should have said ni hao also, but I talk about Asian costume dramas and from the perspective of how believable they are, how relatable they are, and the realism that's performed in these productions. Now, granted, Asian costume dramas are also often based on dynasty history from hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. But the interesting part is they often focus on something called filial piety, which is about the relationships between the child and the parent, or the child and their siblings, their relatives, their friends, their relationships. And I just find them to be relatable, believable, and real. But today I'm coming with you to you with actually there's just three that I want to mention today, and these are three what I call three roughnecks, and I'll explain in a moment. But let me mention that on my last video, I referenced the production Eternal Love, 10 Miles Peach Blossom, and I said it was the highest, had the highest number of views. And I said 20 billion. Well, actually, it's more closer to 60 billion views of that production. Again, that is Eternal Love, 10 Miles Peach Blossom. So check it out. You'll see I talked about Mark Chow and how he does something the best. So check out my last video and check out the Asian costume drama. But today, I want to share with you what I call three ruffians, or three roughnecks. And yes, I did say three roughnecks. And why would a woman want to view a movie about three roughnecks? But here's why. Remember, I mentioned that often these programs are so believable and relatable. And I'm going to share with you just three characters in three separate productions. And because in life, people often, they might not have an easy start to life. They might not be born with a silver spoon in their mouth, but their heart is in the right place. Their heart is often to do right or do well by other people. And sometimes, because even roughnecks, even people who want to do well, sometimes they slip up in life, and what they need is some grace. And don't we all need the grace of God at one point or another? I'm sure we do. But I want to share with you just these three real quickly. And as I've told you before, I just love these productions, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing formal movie reviews. I really don't do lengthy formal movie reviews in terms of criticism, because I notice a lot of times that brings in their personal life. And frankly, I'm not interested in their personal life. What impresses me is the caliber of acting that I find or that I view in Asian costume dramas. But the first one is King's War. And I've mentioned this on a previous edition, but not regarding a roughneck. But King's War, by today's standard, is an older production. It was actually launched in 2012. And as you find with Asian costume dramas, they come out every month. So you figure this was more than or just about 10 years ago. But the actor that I'd like for you to check out, his name is Chen Daoming. That's the actor's name. And he performed a character by the name of Liu Bang. Now, in King's War, again, phenomenal production. From what I understand, one of the highest grossing in terms of production costs. But he will demonstrate and he will show you a character that's part of real Asian history between the Qin dynasty and the Han dynasty. But what he does is he evolves. He had a very rough start in life, but he had a band of friends, and he evolved from being this roughneck to being emperor. But you have to check out how his way of going about it was to do right by other people. And along the way, he made some blunders, did some things wrong, but his heart was always to do the best for other people. So if no other reason, that's a good enough reason to watch King's War. But I will tell you, I can talk about each and every one of the characters in that production because entirely it was phenomenal, undoubtedly phenomenal. The next one I want to mention, it's a 2019 production. So by some standard, it's newer. But the name of the production, the costume drama, is Longest Day in Chang'an, Longest Day in Chang'an. And the actor, his name is Lei Jia-ying, and he played the character Cheng Shui-ching. So Lei Jia-ying portrayed the character Cheng Shui-ching. And I will tell you, this character, again, a roughneck, but as I'm watching him perform, and he's fighting him, like this is like a superhero because he's going against the forces of life are coming after him in a figurative sense, but also in a real sense, coming after him. But again, his heart was always to do right by the people, not a selfish motive. So again, in like the other production, I can go in and talk about each of the other performers. Fabulous, amazing acting and production, but worth watching for this roughneck, Lei Jia-ying. And then lastly, and I'll be out of the way here, lastly, it's Rebel Princess. Now, Rebel Princess, 2021, so relatively new, but still there's been many productions, even this year alone, but the actor's name is Zhou Yiwei. Zhou Yiwei. Okay, that's the actor. And the character that he portrayed is Qi Shao. Now, again, you have a gentleman, a roughneck, who can physically take on the world, but you do see how he is emotionally beat up by the world and relationships himself. But he's a bit of a roughneck, but he evolves. And the key behind each of these three productions is it made me think about in life, we don't always have, as I said, a silver spoon in our mouth. We are not always, life is not a bed of roses, but those who are to do right by others, in spite of the fact that they make mistakes, because we all make mistakes and need grace and God's forgiveness. But when their heart is right, eventually they evolve and they become in the rightful place that they deserve. So again, King's War, Longest Day in Chang'an, and Rebel Princess, all three of those productions are worth your watching. And then lastly, I just want to say two productions that I recently finished, Love Story of Court Enemies, and then The Legend of Two Sisters in Chaos. I'll come back and talk about those at another time, but I just wanted to share about these three roughnecks that are absolutely worth watching. So check them out, and I will tell you, you just might get hooked. So until next time, Zaijian, take care.